I'm not defending their original sin. And I realize that giving them any grace will be unfair to those who came here lawfully. In fact, legal immigrants have moved to the hawkish side of the immigration debate.
Immigrant citizens, immigrant voters, foreign-born voters have gone tremendously to the right on this issue in 2024 and 2025 versus where they were in 2020.
So both Michael Smerconish this morning on CNN and a few days ago Harry Enten on CNN both seem surprised at this stat. But why? Why is it surprising that people who come to this country legally would be not happy with those who come here illegally?
As CNN's Harry Enten notes, there's been an astonishing 40-point shift in how foreign-born workers feel. In 2020, Democrats had a 32-point lead on immigration policy among this group. But today, Republicans lead by 8 percentage points on the issue. It's understandable. Why play by the rules if it doesn't make any difference, especially after 4 years of a president who some saw as promoting an open border policy?
Some saw as promoting an open border policy?
And it makes sense that America should continue to uphold a distinction between immigrants who followed the law and those who didn't. I get it. But that still leaves us with about 10 million or so who are just like the examples that I gave earlier. Good neighbors, productive people, and it's impractical to think we can remove them all. Instead, we need to give them a chance to get right with the law.
I don't think he's wrong about this point, but my question is, why haven't they gotten right with the law? Why haven't they tried to become citizens? If there's 10 million people here that are law-abiding and are not falling into this criminal gang groups and so forth, what are they doing? Why haven't they become citizens?
That prospect has been missing from the current debate. In fact, we haven't had a serious conversation about a pathway to citizenship for about a decade. It was popular then, and it still seems so now. Now, say what you will about his approach. There's no question President Trump has brought illegal border crossings to a level that many thought impossible. According to the U.S. Border Patrol, such crossings have slowed to a trickle. In February of this year, February of 2025, the U.S. BP apprehended 8,347 illegal aliens crossing the southwest border. This constitutes a 94% decrease from February of 2024.
And that's exactly why a majority of Americans trust Trump on immigration, as CNN also reported earlier this week.
And the California governor, Gavin Newsom, pushing back. So what do voters see in terms of their perceptions of Republicans, the president, or Democrats, say Gavin Newsom, on this issue?
Yeah, the American electorate believe that the Democrats don't have a clue. I mean, you could just take it here. Closer to trust more in immigration, Democrats versus Republicans. Got 3 different polls for you across the board. They all tell the same story. Republicans lead on the issue of immigration.
But all that means is that this is a perfect opportunity, a chance to build on the momentum, seize this moment, and craft a long-term solution for those who are already here. And make no mistake, this is going to require hard work from Democrats as much as Republicans, because many on the right appropriately question the commitment of the Democrats if they get back in power. What's to stop them from returning to more porous borders?
And that is an excellent point. And we know it'll happen when the Democrats eventually get back in power. I know it feels like they'll never get back in power the way things are right now for them, but we know how the pendulum swings back and forth as the independents swing it back and forth on how they vote in each election. We need to get a permanent solution in place so the next Democrat doesn't do what Biden did and just simply open the border for everybody for 4 years and get us in this type of situation again.
Thus, it's their job as well to reach across the aisle and convince the doubters, in both word and deed, that Congress and the next Democratic president will keep the border secure. Once this hurdle is cleared, we can come up with a deal for all the nonviolent offenders living as productive tax-paying members of our communities. You're thinking, tax-paying? I thought illegal immigrants don't pay taxes. Not always true. Tax documents require an ITIN, individual taxpayer identification number, in lieu of a Social Security number, which allows undocumented migrants to voluntarily sign up for taxes. And why would they do that? Because they've heard that it gives them a better shot at eventual citizenship. But it also could help the authorities track them down and deport them. However, in tracking them down, there's no clear mechanism to differentiate between someone here recently and a parent whose spouse and children are living here legally and who has been paying taxes and committing no crimes for over a decade. So if you want is a well-established, law-abiding citizenship, they work hard, they pay their taxes, then now's the time to give them a one-chance opportunity to come out of the shadows, stay and pay, or say no and go. We've seen enforcement is possible. It's working. And now we need a plan for the other half of the equation: compassion, structure, and a pragmatic path forward. Let's go, President Trump and Congress. As they say at Home Depot, it's time for doers to get more done.
So that's on that issue. How about how they feel about kind of traditionally, historically, about Donald Trump?
Yeah, so, you see this shift and you go, what is going on underneath the hood? Well, take a look, Donald Trump. You remember when he first ran back in 2016, immigrant voters were one of his weakest spots. But look at this. Trump's vote share in presidential elections among, again, immigrant citizens, those who are registered to vote. Look at this. In 2016, he got 36% of the vote. You go to 2020, 39% of the vote. Look at this. In 2024, all the way up to 47% of the vote. Some polls I looked at had him barely losing that vote. Some polls I looked at had him barely winning that vote. Again, there is no block of voters that shifted more to the right from 2020 to 2024 than immigrant voters, and Donald Trump, at least in some surveys, actually won that vote. On average, it's about equal. So there may be all this stuff, right, about undocumented immigrants and Trump being harsh on them, but immigrant voters themselves have increasingly liked Donald Trump and have increasingly moved to the right on immigration and into the Republican camp.
Well, then on that, what you're getting at, how immigrant citizens, voters, feel about people in the country illegally.
Yeah, and this is where it all kind of comes together, Kate Baldwin. Look at this. The net favorable rating, immigrants who are here illegally, among immigrant citizens, again, those registered to vote. In 2020, look at this, plus 23 points on the net favorable rating. But look at where we were in 2024, minus 6 points, underwater. So immigrant citizens have become increasingly unfavorable in their views of those immigrants who are here illegally. And it's not just on the broad issue of immigration, it's on the specifics as well, in which the American public is with Donald Trump and the Republicans, and that is why Donald Trump is eager to take on this fight and eager for those scenes out of Los Angeles.
Oh! Nice work, everyone. Great story.
All right. Well, if you're watching me right now, that means that you made it to the end of this video. So thanks for watching all the way through. I'm Eddie, and this is my Ovation guitar, hence the name of the channel, Ovation Eddie. Just a quick reminder to subscribe to this channel. It's easy to watch videos on channels and never think about subscribing, but to be able to keep up with the videos and to help my channel, being subscribed is a big part of that. Now, I also want you to please help me get these videos out to independent and swing voters so they can see what's really going on with the corruption in the Democrat Party and the liberal bias in the mainstream media. They need to see these so they can understand why you and I are so frustrated with the liberal media bias and the loony liberals and what they're up to. Until my next video, God bless you and rock on.